Welcome. Happy Friday. I created this topic because I get asked a lot by everybody. It's like, oh yeah, my schedule's not showing up and all that stuff. So today I'm going to be showing you kind of like the good, the best, the better, and the best method to do your scheduling. I guess you're here because you've done schedule before. Okay, if you haven't done a schedule, this is an opportunity to kind of learn a couple methods of how we deal with scheduling inside AutoCAD. With our current workflow, I kind of like copy and paste from a previous presentation is that this is how we typically do our schedule. So we manually enter in all this information. Manager kind of mark up and review. You go back and you edit, and then you basically print it again. Okay, that's how we always do. In the past, what I talked about is that when you look at AutoCAD, the automation is only 5%, and then 95% is all manual. So you kind of have to manually enter in all that information. And when you look at Revit, it's kind of like, okay, 90% is automated and 10% is all manual. Now, what we're trying to focus today is that we're trying to focus on AutoCAD, and we try to increase that automation. So rather than going to 5%, we're going to be basically going from 5 to 85%. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, you guys are going to be cool kids today. All right, because you're going to know the secrets, and then everybody else is just saying, oh, crap, I have to do the schedule. So you guys say, I'm going to show you the best method. All right, so a couple of things. We're going to create schedule. So I'm going to show you all this method. The first two is the copy and paste method, which I think everybody uses. The next one I'm going to talk about is how to use referencing. Okay, if you don't know what referencing does, I'm going to show you. Third method is data extraction. That's going to be one of the best. All right, let's begin with the demo. So when you first start out with, let's say, doing a schedule, a lot of time what we do is that people use Excel. Okay, this is the first method with that we always use. All right. Okay, let's say, for example, this is our schedule, and we want to kind of like put this thing inside AutoCAD. So what we typically do is that we select the area we want to copy it in. Let's say, for example, here, I'm going to say Control-C, okay? And then you go into the AutoCAD side. I'm going to close out of all this menu. And then what you do is that you go Edit. You can paste, but if you paste, it means that the link's broken. If you paste special, okay? Now what it does is that it has this paste special. You have the Microsoft Excel worksheet, pictures, and if you click on the paste link, you only get two options. One is the Excel. In the old days, this is what we use. New days, what we do is that we can use AutoCAD entities. By doing this, when you say OK, just place it in, this is what we get, right? So everybody notices, it's pretty fast. Now, if I try to paste the same thing again using AutoCAD entities, let's say I'm going to go paste special, paste link, AutoCAD entities. When you click OK, okay, what it does is that it's going to bring up a different schedule. You notice that this looks like it's a perfect schedule. Everything's from Excel. And then when you bring it into AutoCAD and then change it to AutoCAD entity, you notice that the text is just not reading correctly. You see that the formatting just becomes kind of like blotchy and kind of a thing. In the past, I kind of like tell people, yeah, you can use this. You can use the other way. But I find that the biggest issue I have with this is that people are having issue with printing. Okay. The problem with the OLE method is that when you paste it in, you have to use. Here, I'll show you. When you do the PDF, I would recommend that you choose your settings, okay, Adobe to PDF. Use that settings. If you use the Adobe, make sure you configure it down to 600, okay? You need to be around 600 DPI, then that thing will show up. If you don't, it's kind of like, it's going to be pitch black. So what are you choosing this, okay, if you're printing a PDF in AutoCAD, I recommend this, DWG to PDF. Okay? It'll just print out your OLE object perfectly fine. Okay?
Why you were the second option is first one for
okay. The reason why is that I got asked is that every time when you add in your new data, what this does is that this data constantly expands, or it basically shrinks depending on, it's just a screenshot of a view, it's like an image. The problem with this is that it gets into very, how should I say it, rasterized as you print it. It looks like a piece of crap when you print it out in a large size paper, because that's how it is, right? So when you print it as this is just an image. It's just a screenshot. Whereas if you want to paste it in this is the vector. The problem with the AutoCAD side is that you kind of have to make sure that this is all formatted. So let's say, for example, if you want to make sure all of this looks correctly, then you have to go back into Excel and making sure that area, which is like all of this, you kind of have to merge it. Okay, it's more of a tedious process. Okay, when I go save this and then go back to AutoCAD, okay, and then when I go right click, you notice that a large chunk of this cell will be just, there you go. You see, it just eliminates all that cell. So what happens is that AutoCAD will pick up all the cells as just one complete thing. So it's an independent cell, and then this becomes kind of a nightmare. What I'm going to show you is that another better method. Okay, it'll keep all the formatting and still give you a vector base. So the third method that I would recommend user using is first you select your area where you want to print. Okay. Set this. So I go page layout, and then there is one called the print area. Set print area. Okay. So that way you know that that's what you want. And what you're going to do is that you're going to go print as a PDF. Okay. I would typically say scale fit first page, so that there you go. That's what you want. And then I'm going to say I'm going to print this as a PDF and print. Okay. Now, if you don't know, AutoCAD can actually reference in PDF. Okay. So what you're going to do is that once you're in here, I already have a saved PDF. So what you have to do is just drag and drop, and then just save one, and voila. And this is also a vector. So if you print it as a vector, it's going to be showing up as a vector. So when you print it in, you see that all that formatting stuff, you don't have to touch anything. Now, the only thing that you have to do is that you just constantly have to update this. That's it. Like, just say resave that PDF. And what it does is that every time you have that list, everything is just going to come in as it is. Okay? OLE is good, but you will have PDF when you print it. Sometimes you have to just make sure the setting's correct. AutoCAD, it just, you kind of have to make sure all the format's proper. Whereas if you do the PDF, all the format saves the same. All you have to do is just display it. Oh, no?
Did you copy and paste it into your model space or into your paper?
Oh, just drag it in. Drag and drop. You can drag and drop.
Wait, automatic model space.
Yeah, model space. You can do it in paper space too. Okay. Now, if you're copying and pasting, let's say a schedule like that, if you do it inside AutoCAD environment, you have to paste it in paper space. If you do it in model space and create a view, what it does is that this becomes unpredictable. It will scale up and down. Okay. So the one thing I have to warn people is that if you have to paste your schedule, always paste in paper space.
But the other way,
you don't have to, because it's there. What?
You can do either or.
Yes, that's correct.
You have to create a viewport.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. But
you say an update?
this doesn't update. All you have to do is just replace this
So
particular.
well,
yeah. So all you have to do is that if you make changes, just override or save this Excel file, put it into your thing, and then it updates.
That you have to make PDF every time again from Excel, and then update that PDF in your drawing. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. I would just say, okay, 90% of the time, one of my biggest question is that people say, I can't find my Excel.
So where can I find the file?
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the path.
It doesn't give you a path. Yeah, I'll show you how. I'll show you where it kept all that stuff. So if you go to table, all right. If you click on this little button right there. Oh, actually, this is just there is one from data link. There you go. If you click on this, you notice that there is a data link in here. Okay. And what you can do here is that you can go edit. Okay. What it does is that it tells you that there's a file path. Now, the problem with this is that in AutoCAD, that link's always broken every time. Like, I've worked with so many projects. People say, "Oh, I can't find Excel. The link's broken." So what they have to do is that we have to repaste that information all over again. So it's kind of like rather than doing a lot of that stuff, print a PDF, override it, solves your problem. So you don't have to go into this and then figure out where's the path, and then you can choose where is the new path location, and then you kind of do it from there. So this is where you change path. Like let's say, assuming that the link is broken, this is where you kind of have to go in there and then change it. It's more tedious, and I don't recommend this because this would just muck up your thing. So I just say keep it simple. Use the PDF method. All right. If you are using Excel, then PDF is probably the best.
And when you bind the file, you go to with the...
Yep. Okay. So when you bind the file, what it does is it takes the PDF and then put it with your drawings. So if you e-transmit. Okay. And it also saves people from modifying your stat sheet. Right? Let's say if you send this to a consultant, they may kind of modify stuff. We have PDF, it's locked in, and nobody can touch it. That's it, which is a good thing. All right, the next method I'm going to show you is attribute extraction. Okay, I've kind of worked on a secret things. Here, let me open up. Yeah, I kind of like look at how people work. Let's say, for example, you have a plan and you want to do like let's say a parking count. Okay, what I think we do is that, okay, in the new method, I just added in a secret things inside here so that all you have to do is just copy in this stall, all right, Alt-Tab, go back here, and then just paste it in here, okay, and say, okay, this is my regular car. So if you want to make that thing, let's say, for example, R, or change different sizes. Let's say this one I have a Vancouver size and small stall. You notice that when you regen, this automatically updates. So you don't have to change anything. The only thing you have to change is this 01. Okay? If it's a handicap, let's say this is a handicap, let's say handicap, you see that it's automatically put in that. And if you say this one you want to be a residential, okay? What I'm going to do is I just go to Properties, PR. Select that object. And you notice that there is one called the usage type. You got residential visitor, commercial visitor, et cetera, et cetera. So if you, let's say you want to change a commercial, when you regen that, you see that automatically change. Okay? All of this is a database built in. Okay, I create a block that has a database that actually has a predetermined. So every time you change this, don't override it, all right? If you override it, you kind of screwed up the thing. But, you know, a lot of time people will say, okay, they go in and then how it works, kind of a thing, and trying to modify it. I would not recommend you modifying this crap, okay? If you do, you're gonna fail. Okay, it's a little bit complicated, but I'm not gonna tell you how I do it. I'm just gonna show you that yes, it is complicated. It has a lot of database in it that's built in. So trying to modify this, yes, it's gonna take you time. So I won't modify. Now, if you
want to change the numbering?
Okay, typically what I do is I just make a copy of the second one. Let's say, for example, this is my number 2. Okay. The first thing you want to do is that you want to use the, here, let me, how many of you guys use the ribbon? No? All right, you guys should start using it because 2016, ribbon is going to be the only one you're going to be using. But you can still, that's the unfortunate thing, okay? But you can still use that show menu bar, okay? So if you show menu bar, you can still have the best of both worlds. Just get used to it because 2016, they want to use this. Okay. So when you go to IBI Group, if you want to do that automation, let's say that's number 1, number 2, there is an icon here called the auto numbering. So you click on this and say, I want it to be chain attributes. Okay. First thing you want to do is that you pick this 01. Okay. And it asks you if you want to identical or increase. I want to go IM for increase and select that. Okay. That becomes number 2. So what you're going to do is that every time when you copy this, say I'm going to have copy this, you see that it becomes number 3. So this one I want it to be, let's say this is a small stall. And then you keep copying. All right? Then you keep copying, it's going to update itself. Now if you delete one, let's say, for example, I want to delete the number 2. You see that, that's an auto number. Oh, what the heck. I probably did something wrong. Now, what happens if you delete it? You see that the number should kind of like reorganize, but I don't know why it doesn't do that.
It did, just when you deleted number 2, it did.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Because number 2 was from your
Oh.
first one, right?
I see. Probably. Okay. All right, so it does, yeah, there you go. Oh, I think it did. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I have like stuff overlapping each other. Bad thing. Okay, so that's how we do parking stalls. Now, if you want to do a parking count on this, what do you typically do? You create a table and then you just count manually and stuff like that? Don't do that. Okay, yeah, no, we give you a number, but I would say no, try not to do that. That's a waste of time. I was going to show you how I'm going to do it. So first you type in e-text, okay? I'm going to first choose the template because I have set up a couple of templates for you guys, so you guys can use it, and then this works for pretty much all the projects. Okay, use the previous template, and then click on this. The first thing you want to choose is that you see that there is the Imperial Metric Parking Schedule. Click on that, okay? It's going to fall under AutoCAD 2014 Design Center ARC Schedule Template. And what it does is that when I go click and open that, and click on Next, and ask me want to save, okay, what's my new location? So I'm going to save it, say parking samples. Save it. Okay. Now it's going to say include the current drawings. Okay. I'm going to remove this previous one. The reason why I want to remove the previous one is because the blank drawing doesn't have anything. So you always say include the current drawings so that it includes your current drawings where you're going to be working. And then all you have to do is just press next. Now what it does is that it's already have predetermined what block that you're going to be using, which is like I added in this block as my template. The rest, you see that there's Vancouver. I did not put that in because that's an old block. If you're still using old blocks, don't copy from another project because this doesn't work. All right. Okay. When you click on next, what it does is that it tells you what parameter they want to put in. Okay. It will just automatically determine everything. When you click on next, you see that it tells me that there's commercial, 2 of them, and then there's small stalls, and then it counts total. So you don't have to do all your total everything. So when you click on next, and say typical parking count, sure, and finished. And then what you're going to do, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that every time we add it in, I always recommend you add in the tables. Let's say, for example, you're doing table styles. This is 1.8. You want to use 1.8. All right, just put that in just as a temporarily. And then when you go to that schedule, rather than figuring out what table you're going to be using, just click on this and see that, okay, parking. This, everything's good. Okay, now the benefit of this is that as you constantly changing, let's say, for example, I'm going to copy this and say I'm going to make it regular. Oops, did I put my auto on? Yeah, snap's always off. Okay, so let's say I'm going to put it here and then change this value now to, let's say, regular. And then commercial, I'm going to call it residential. Now, if I do regenerate, you notice that this will not add in until you hit refresh. There should be a refresh button here. I don't know what happened. Nothing works today. Okay, let's redo it. Okay, so this should refresh. If it doesn't refresh, you can always go right-click, update to table link. You notice that you see regular, residential, 1, added in. Okay, it does the total for you as well. Okay, it's a perfect way of doing things. Rather than you basically count it and just put in that value, this thing automatically just regenerate for you.
So you have this only for parking or for every new block? Or
pretty much. I'm gonna basically what my goal right now is that looking at what you guys have to struggle to do this, right? I'm basically going to kind of like add information to this. Okay, so that has a predetermined presets everything.
can you do that for doors?
Oh yeah, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the doors and then the rooms. Okay, this one also is very useful. I know that in landscape they do have planting. Okay, I did that in the past. That's where I got this idea from. All right, so let's say
So you
Sure.
take it back up a bit and show me how you got it. Okay.
Oh, the table?
Yeah.
Okay, let's recreate the table. All right, so first you're going to do is that just call in eText. Okay, attribute extraction. Yeah, unfortunately it's pretty small. Okay. Next thing you want to do is that use the table, the template, and then just choose the one you want to use, which is the parking, and hit open. And when you click, okay, file path is basically the ICAD 2014 Design Center. There's an architecture folder with the template. But I think if you have the IBI profile, what it does is that it should link you to this, okay, automatically. So that's why the profile becomes very important. If you don't have a profile, you kind of have to go through this and then kind of pick it up. But okay, then we have to reconfigure it, right? So this is why it's very important, but people have to tell me, right? So that if you know, then all this path will work. So just go schedule template, okay? And you click on open, all right, and then go click on next. And it asks you to save. I'm just going to use my parking sample. Now, typically I would just say put this in your project folder, because if you put it into your local drive, only you have the ability to update it and nobody else can do it. Okay, just keep in mind, as I always say, put it in a project folder. I would say if you have a sheet set manager, there is one here. I'm just going to go to my template. There is a template, and then there's a sheet set manager. And in that sheet set manager, I think you should be placing it under standards and just put in data extraction. There's a folder in there. So you just put it in there, just say, tell it what level this is, and blah, 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 and then you're done. Okay? And save it. Okay? I would say if you are putting the schedule in your drawings, always include it in your drawings. Always include current drawings. Okay? You can always add drawings. Let's say if you are doing another level, let's say level, this is P4 and 7, is it? Yeah, something like that. But if you are doing other levels, you can actually grab those drawings. If you have the same block, it will extract the same information. Okay? So you can actually get a total count of your parking by adding in drawings. Okay? That's the attribute extraction method. And then what you're going to do is just remove the drawing that doesn't have anything. So let's say this is my startup drawing. Just remove it. Okay? Yes. And then click on next. There's a couple of settings in there. You can say all objects, objects in model space. You start extract objects from XREF, extract objects from block, and then include XREF and block count. Okay, this is by default, just don't touch it, but if you only want to show objects in model space, just click on that. If you want to include XREF, I typically recommend it if you're doing a total parking count. Okay, that way you can include all the XREF stuff. And click on next. What it does is that it's going to pick that particular parking, and then click on next. Next. Yeah, there we go. And then just click on next. Insert into the drawings. And I would say choose the schedule 96 so it looks nice. You can always, I put in this parking count, then you can say level 4 to P7 or P4 to P4 to 7. Okay, I'll let you add that in. So if you know that that's a level P4 to 7, then you can go finished. Okay, there we go. And then every time when you add it in, you stalls. Okay, regenerate. Now this one doesn't show up. It used to be there's a chain here, but if it doesn't show up in your icon, I typically recommend just select this. Okay, you will notice that by selecting it, you will notice that there is a lock and then there's a chain. Okay, that tells you that it's linked to something. So you can go right click and say update the table, and you notice that the handicap becomes 10, and then it auto subtotal your account. Okay, pretty useful. Now the next step I'm going to show you is how we do doors. Okay, right now what you have to do is just use the AutoCAD documentation, and all you have to do is click on schedule, and there's types. Okay, there's this one and this one. Doesn't matter because they're all the same. Click on this. Oh yeah, before you do anything, always add scale. That's one thing I always forget. Because if you put 1 to 1, this thing's going to scale 1 to 1. So I would say at scale, let's say this is 1/8, for instance, or 1 to 100. Then I'm just going to put 1/8. Click on this and say, okay, put it there. Okay? Now, in here, you have other information. So what it does is that this will show you, okay, I want it like that, or I want it to be very simple, single value, or you want it to be a slot. Okay? I just keep it default. Now, the next thing you have to do is that if you know that this is type A, you see that you click on this object, and there is a couple of doors that you have to kind of like put in those information. So let's say this is a flush, and you can say I want this to be a wood, factory finished, or you can say pre-finished. Now this is kind of like a pre-dummy. It's a dummy for everybody. Like it's basically a schedule that doesn't require training. All you have to do is just put it in there, choose what it is, and then away we go. Okay? And what it does is that this will determine exactly what's going to come out of your schedule. Okay? So for a project manager, this is a perfect way of saying, oh, I want this door, this door, this door. Okay? Then what the people have to do is that just fill in that blank. And you can say, okay, what is the fire rating? So that looks like it's an hour. Okay, 60 minutes. And you can say, okay, where is it? Is it a flush door metal and then no finish, one side finish? I mean, I spell it out descriptively so that the user doesn't have to think about what they are, like what's number 1, what's number 2. You can still refer back to the schedule if you have to, but this one kind of like cut your time down. Just select what you want. Let's say galvanized, pressed metal, factory finish, and then it's a common door. Now, this hardware becomes very interesting because you can actually pre-select what you want. If you have, let's say, if it's a service door, residential, you see that this hardware actually updates. So if, let's say, I'm going to go to exit door, notice that this value constantly updates. So all of that is predetermined. So I added in those database so that anybody, if they need to add stuff, all they have to do is just tell me, oh, I need to add a bunch of stuff in there. Okay, I'm just going to go into my door, and then I could go into my template, go in there, modify the value, and then all you have to do is that, let's say if I do all this changes inside the block, and if I saved it, all you guys have to do, I'm going to close this out. All you guys have to do is I'm just going to say, oh, yeah, I made that changes. All you have to do, close this, is go right-click here and say redefine. You see there's a redefine button, right? By clicking on that redefine button, what it does is that it takes the database from the other drawings and then just propagate it to here. So this content will constantly update, and then all your drawings, everything is going to be perfectly in order. So every time, like I recommend that you use this because every time I update stuff, it's going to just update your stuff automatically versus if you do it copy and paste from the old project. I have no idea what's in there, so you would lose your intelligence. So this is a perfect way to do it, all right, if you want to do it. Now, the next step I want to do is I built this thing into the door. So if you select a double door, it's going to give you a proper, it's going to preset that to, let's say it's a D1 or whatever. So it's predetermined, you don't have to touch. The width, you don't have to touch because it's predetermined. If you say 2 foot 10, the schedule will read 2 foot 10. Okay, sounds good? So that's the next step. This is, you still have to add in some stuff. So the only thing you have to add it in, oops, I don't know why my property PR. All you have to do is that if you go down here, the attributes, you still have to add your door thickness and door sizes, okay? And then number, you still have to add door numbers too. So I'm just going to copy this, just propagate it, okay? Now, if you want to kind of like automate this, like this is number 1 and then the next one's number 2, how you do it is that you kind of have to do ATT display because I have, just turn it on, ATT display. Turn them on, you see that there is a value in here, L01. This is the number that you want to update. Okay? The reason why I said this is the number you want to update because if you update this, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't take anything to schedule count. That's some sort of a mistake that a lot of people make. like, don't modify this value. First, when you select this object, you can do it through properties. All right. This is the first number that you want to modify. Do not modify 01 door number because that is part of the schedule. All right. Door location, yeah, just say this is the lobby. Yeah, that one you can do it, lobby. Door height, anything with the 01, like all this, that is part of your schedule. So do not override that value. If you override it, that's it. Okay. Notes, yeah, anything with like a blank, like anything with the comments and stuff like that, you can still modify it. Like comments is the only one you can modify. Door number, yeah, don't modify this. I think this one is a mistake because someone actually overwrite the door number. I have to go back and modify it again. Okay. So once you've done this, what you're going to do is that go to eText. Oh, actually, before I do anything, first you have to change this attribute. Let's say this is 01 and this is L1, and then this is the number I want to change. So the first thing you want to do is that you go to, again, same thing. You pick this value, increase, and you pick the second value, which is that one, and this is number 2. So every time when you refresh and then you copy, let's say this is number 3, you see that that number automatically updates, right? So that's ATD display, and then just turn them back to normal. Okay, so I'll hide that stuff. Okay, once you get into this, now the next thing you want to do is that you want to extract this information. So again, just use the same thing, eText. Use the previous, recommended. And then I'm going to use the door schedule right there. Okay, there's the imperial metric. The reason why there's imperial metric is that the imperial block and the metric blocks are named differently. So just be careful which one you use. If you choose the metric, it will probably, if you do the metric and then it's an imperial door, it doesn't pick it up. Okay? In the future, what we're going to do is that we're going to have one universal door, which is like one door that matches everything. And what happens is that you just have imperial metric. That's it. And then what it does is that one door fits everything. And you go open, click on next. Yeah, you have to save your door. Let's see, I'm going to say door text samples. Yes. Include the current drawings and remove the previous one. And then say next. What it does is that it's going to predetermine which door you're going to be using. So next. And you notice that 0102, it's going to pick all the doors. Okay, go next. And you notice that, yes, it's picking up the doors. Next, next. I'll put 18 and go next. Finished. And just dump it there. Now, you could do this in a schedule. Let's say, for example, you have a 900 series, which is all schedule. You can actually do it from there. You don't have to be opening up a plan just to do that schedule. You can actually do it from there, extract that information, and then just put it into your schedule. Fast way to do it. Okay, I'm just demonstrating that this is what you can do if you want to do doors. Okay, if I change this value, let's say for example, let's say this door becomes something else. Let's say this is no longer flush. This is going to be a two-panel glaze, and then this is not wood. This is aluminum. This is going to be the hardware. Now it's fine. Frame type is fine. This is going to be just a common door. Okay, and what happens is that all you have to do, see the schedule, and then just go right-click and update. You see that it's automatically predetermined. Okay, so rather than you creating a schedule and just go each and every one and just do it, all you have to do it relies on the tag. So the tag will tell you all the information. You put in a tag, it will just tell you what's there. Okay.
It's not bidirectional.
It's not bidirectional. No. Not yet. Not yet.
Not like Revit.
It's not like Revit. I know. Yes. It's not by. What I mean by bidirectional is that if you change the schedule here, it reflects changes back here. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It just reports back what that information are, and all you have to do is just the tag itself. You kind of have to make sure you choose the right one. Once you choose the right one, then you're fine. All right. The final one I'm going to show you is the rooms. All right. So if you click on the rooms.
I have a question about the doors.
Yeah.
Do you have legend?
Oh, door schedule? Okay.
The abbreviation legend.
Okay. Okay, the question is there abbreviation? Yes, I've kind of come up with something. You click on this, you kind of have to dump it into your sheet and then just dump it there. And then I'm kind of trying to standardize a lot of the stuff. So you see that there's reports. I think there is one for door. I'm not sure if I get general notes. I have to look at it because I know that I create something and I haven't put it up there. Because later on I'm going to be basically putting all this stuff up. So if you look at this general notes and parking notes and multi, whatever, those informations are from standards. So all you have to do is just grab. Now the benefit of doing this is that if you click on general notes, in the new version, if you're using a sheet set manager, okay, the new one, not copy from the old one, a lot of this will tell you what kind of door types or where's the jurisdiction of your project. Maybe I should demonstrate that at the end. What it does is that you can reference whatever project you're on. Let's say if it's in Calgary, then you can say, okay, it's a Calgary standard. And all your schedule is going to update to whatever jurisdiction you're in. Okay, so it's predetermined, and it's also very fast. So you don't have to say, copy from the old project, that reference to Richmond project, even though we're doing Vancouver. None of that stuff anymore. So it's all predetermined, so I kind of have a thought about that, and then this is how you change it. In Revit, I'm still working on that. So if you do a Calgary project, it will change to Calgary, everything Calgary. If you go to Richmond, it's going to change everything to Richmond. So, yes. Abbreviation, yes. I'm still putting it in there. Okay? So let's say, for example, you want to do rooms. All right. The rooms is pretty slick. Okay? All you have to do is click on this. Say, okay, this is my room name. Don't change this value. All you have to do, if this is an elevator lobby, just change here. This is going to be my elevator lobby, and then this is my L1. Sure. This is going to be my P4. Okay. By doing that, you see that elevator lobby. Okay. Now there is a cool trick about this is that you can double click on this, and this is a multi-tag. This is a multi-line attribute. So this thing is kind of like, oh yeah, I want to squeeze those in. Click on the ruler. And say, I want that to be elevator lobby, say OK, say OK. Okay? It has a built-in function now, so that if those things are, rather than doing 2 lines, it's actually 1 line now. Okay? Now, the other thing I put in there is that you see that there is a condition. All you have to do is say, okay, I want it to be concrete unfinished. Sure, let's put a tile on concrete, no base. Let's say for this one, I have concrete wall, north side, I think it's just the glass and door, glazing, painted gypsum with glazing. Let's say this one, on this side, the east wall, we only have concrete, gypsum, and then the next one, the south wall, it's going to be, I think, painted gypsum, and then the next one is the west wall, it's going to be CMU with gypsum. You see that all of this information starts to populate. You don't have to think about it. All they have to do is just pick your condition, change this, and change the number. That's it. And once you have that information, when you do attribute extraction, it's the same way. Okay? Text, use. What you have to do is just choose the room. All right, room schedule, and say open. Go next, and make sure you save again. So this one is going to be your room tag. Example. All right, and include the drawings and remove the previous one. Next. What else is that? It's going to pick that particular room and say next. Next. Yes, you're going to have that. Next. Next. And make sure it's 1. There we go. Finished. Now, the next thing you want to do is that if you set one up, the next step you can do is just populate. All right. So let's say, for example, I would not use this. You could use this ATE. ATE is pretty safe. Okay. ATE just picks it up. You could do double click, but I don't recommend it because people tend to just overwrite stuff. I don't recommend it. I would say ATE or use the property, because the reason why I recommend using properties in Revit, it's the same thing. You're going to be using properties a lot. Okay? Get the habit of using properties. If the property would tell you, okay, what kind of wall, if it's unfinished, so let's say carpet no base, let's say CMU unfinished, well, I should say concrete unfinished. Okay, so it's up to the user's choice. I'm say painted, and then here I'm just going to say no wall. Okay. Now, is this pretty cool? It saves you time. Well, all you have to do is just pick your conditions, and that's it. Because like what I'm trying to do is that this is exactly the same way how you're going to be doing it in Revit. So if you learn something how to do this in Revit, it's the same way how I'm going to say this is how we do it. Pick condition, pick condition, pick condition. So let's say this is parking exit. And say okay, and then this thing just reload it. Okay, update. Go. Yeah, it doesn't update immediately because I forgot to regenerate. Takes time. There we go. Parking exit.
Are you going to upload a manual or something?
I will have to do
like
it.
in 2 months, if I have to use it, I might have thought.
You can always refer to the video.
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
take upload the video.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to record this now. About the general notes, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate because I did it for the other group in the past. So in the future, you don't have to copy the notes in the other drawings. What you have to do is that I'm just going to copy all this and just put a sample in my desktop. Let's say recover and say sheet set manager project, and just kind of copy it here. And then when I double click here in the sheet set manager, you will notice that when you go to properties, I have added in new value for nodes. You see that nodes? Those are pretty much determine what jurisdiction you're going to be on. So let's say, for example, you're going to be City of Richmond. Then if you are in the City of Richmond, then you have to use BC, right? BC 2012 or something, or I don't remember, 2010. I don't know. I remember. So if you put that in, okay, let's say I'm going to create a new sheet just for nodes. New sheet, say A001, general node. Okay. Now all you have to do is that, okay, if you want the junior guys to kind of like, okay, help me populate this thing, all you have to do is just click on this and just put it there. Legends, put it there. Pattern legends, put it there. You know, it's kind of like, you know, they just have to go in there and just kind of put it in, and then you just put it in general nodes. Okay, put in that information, put in parking notes, put in wall notes. All right, I put in an extra, so you kind of have to go in and say, okay, if there's a pool, delete it. If it doesn't have a pool, well, if it has a pool, let's say for example here, section valid for swimming pool. If you don't have a swimming pool, just delete it. All right, just a tip. If you have a yoga room, then yes. Valid for project with amenity, remove amenity clause if the project do not have amenity. So it just tells you that immediately remove that information so that people, you don't have to think too much, and then you just put in general notes. And now all of this has a field. You see that parking bylaw? BC 2012, you see that it's going to be in jurisdiction for Richmond. I think it's going to have a view number, sheet number, and then there's a lot of that stuff. So this one goes into the general note itself. So you see why it's very, very important where people don't copy from the old projects, just use the new one because I'm constantly going to get updated this. And every time the project manager says, oh yeah, I need to add a new clause, so what I have to do is just go in there, just edit that, and then next time when you have to do is that just redefine. That's all you have to do. Redefine, and then you get the new stuff. Quick.
Hey,
Yes.
Paula is you're using. Which one is that?
It's under, if you never discover all the architectural documentation, I advise you to kind of like go in there, just look for it, and say, it's under schedule. All right, and then if you scroll down, there is kind of like, actually, what is it? Miscellaneous? I think it's miscellaneous, sorry. There you go. Under miscellaneous, schedule, okay? And then what you do is that this is where things are.
I don't know, going back, how do you delete it? Just double click and override, or do you delete those ones?
Oh.
Like the pool or something.
Oh yeah. What you have to do is just double click.
So that's just override, but there is no kind of error there.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't have problems. What happens is that the nicest thing about this is that it will auto number.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you remove those 13 and 14, the next one is going to be 12 and whatever. All right, so it automatically renumbers. So I kind of configured this to more like an AutoCAD. So let's say if I remove this. Okay, there you go. And then all you have to do, you see that it auto renumbers.
Mm-hmm.
So just delete it.
Just delete it, and then all this, it's going to auto number. Okay.
This is on that point layer.
Yeah, this is on depth point layer, so you won't see it. Okay. So it's a good way to kind of like, you general note there, just use it for what it is. And if you have any updates and stuff like that, just, let me know, and I'll just put them in there. So, all right. In the future, what I'm going to be working on, I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing. Okay. I know for all you slab edge people, how many guys do slab edges? All right. How many hate doing taggings all the slabs? Okay. All right. I have a function that in the future this is what you're going to be using. The first thing you want to do is just copy your tag somewhere. Okay. And first thing first you're going to do is just reference your finished floor. Okay. Let's say this is going to be my 95.63 feet. And now all you have to do is just keep copying that template everywhere you go, and then just say this one I want to, oops, I should close this. In the properties, this is where you want to say I want to drop, okay? There is one called height changes. So if you know your height changes is going to be, let's say, -2 inches, what it does is that it's going to take that previous number and subtract that 2 inches from it. Okay? If you know that this drop slab has 8 inches or 10 inches, all you have to do is just say -10 inch. Okay? And what it has is that automatically values. Increase or decrease? Yeah, sorry about that. I think.
So it's like the drop, if you do a negative drop, you actually raise it.
Yeah, I think I have to go in there and check it out why it's doing that.
Because it's a drop. If it's a positive number, then
it's supposed to be.
Right?
It's supposed to, So if you say 10 inches, then yes, it will say something. I don't know why. 10 inch. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do it because I think it still works. I'm saying.
So it's same thing like grid and Revit. Just get number.
Yeah, it drops. Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. The reason why is that, if the client decides, I have to raise this up by 2 feet. All you have to do is just change this global by 2 feet. And then everything, if you regenerate, it will increase. There you go. See that automatically increases. So that's a smarter way to do it, right? I've seen a lot of people just copy, and just take that calculator and just measure it up. It makes no sense, right? Why not just create a definite floor elevation? You know that's the finished floor elevation.
And that should remain.
That should remain, yes. Do not copy another one. All you have to do is just copy those two templates, copy everywhere, just populate it, and then this is your final number. If someone accidentally deletes this, yes, it will ruin all your field. Make sure you lock it, okay? Make sure you make that as kind of a thing, and then just tell people that this is how we do it. Okay? You guys are going to be the cool kids, but no, I got to show you the better method.
Simon, the arrow for the stairs, I tried to use the other day, but the
Yeah.
text is not annotated.
Yes. Okay. Typically, in the past, what happens is that arrow is either too small or too big. So what happened is that I'm adding it in, but you kind of have to change the scale of the size. I'm still working on it because the problem with the annotative is that it makes it very Yes, the line has to change and all that stuff, and then if you have to use a multiple scale, yeah, forget it, this doesn't work. So what I've come up with is that if you are, well, it still works. So if you are using this, what you're going to do is just choose the scale that you want to use. Let's say I want to use for 1/6 of an inch. You see that it increases all that text, everything. Okay, so that's the proper method of doing things. I'm just going to, like by default, I'm going to put it in as 1/4 inch. That's my default. So you can still change the sizes, like 1 to 50 and 1 to 100. I'm still doing it for both. So something that I want to constantly update all this stuff, because in the past I've used the annotation, and what happens is that it screws everybody up because I have to go into the block editor and I have to constantly changing their value, go back, and then you know what, it's too much work. So whereas this one, it's not annotative, but you could say you have to know the size of your project. So if you know that's 1/2 inch, then it automatically will update to 1/2 inch, and all you have to do is just drag. Okay, and then all you have to do is like the size changes. Say I want it to be, oh, it doesn't work. There we go. It changes. Okay, so that's sort of the things I'm working on right now, trying to perfect it, and then make sure you guys get the proper tools, because you know, a lot of this is collaboration. People just tell me what they want, and then I just basically make it work, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, you have all the fun.
Well, I kind of have to do it like on my spare time, unfortunately, because I'm too busy on my other stuff, but I have to kind of like do this on like, I have a better method, and yeah, there we go. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Because this sort of a things I know that we want to carry people forward, and then we don't want people like struggling and saying, oh, I have to manually enter all this value. It's like, oh, too much work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hey, Simon, how to fix my IBI thing?
Okay.